Those of you that have spent far too long watching my content know that I'm a super duper fan of Honkai Impact. There's a reason it was my #1 game of 2018. I salivate over the glorious combo-centric combat, and I quiver at the nose-bleeding anime goddess of an art style. So when I heard the developer MiHoYo was working on another game, I jumped for joy like a cheerleader after the cutest anime bad boy in school sneezed on me. The release of Genshin Impact is finally upon us, and Tiny Little Games is here to gush over every aspect of this anime-tacular adventure. I'll stop with the intro nonsense. Let's take a tour through my geeky brain for a tiny impressions of Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is a massive open-world RPG. The gameplay mechanics are far removed from Honkai, but first I want to acknowledge the storyline. I usually give two poops about mobile RPG stories. I'm the guy who skips through the dialogue by tapping the screen as if my life depended on it, but here I am engrossed. I'm any other word I can think of that I don't know the definition of. You play as a magical humanoid that has been transported to another world. You're blocked from escaping by an evil entity, who also kidnapped your brother, or sister depending on which character you choose. You then set out on a quest to find your sibling. You meet a cute fairy thing that refers to itself in the third person, and you meet nearby warriors that offer help, for help in return of course. The premise isn't some spectacular revelation, yet the execution is the real treat, especially the dialogue between characters. Rarely did I skip the dialogue. Instead I found myself paying close attention, laughing at the cringy anime jokes, and soon I became invested in the journey ahead of me. The fact that I'm talking about the story is a huge compliment on what the game has achieved in terms of story execution.
Oh, it's finally done.
Okay, on to the most important aspect of any game, the gameplay. Disregard any knowledge of Honkai Impact. I will now show you footage of a completely different game. This is Zelda Breath of the Wild. Anybody familiar with what's transpiring on screen will be immediately familiar with Genshin Impact. The comparisons are surreal. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Usually I despise copy-clone mechanics, yet here I am relishing in the amazing adaptation that has been created. Not all is Breath of the Wild inspired. Sure, there is an open world to explore, combat based on elements, a cooking mechanic, climbing, a stamina meter, temple exploration, and a glide around the environment option. Yet some minor combat arrangements have been changed. Genshin gives you the ability to switch between party members, each with their very own strengths and elemental abilities. Fire, wind, ice, and electricity. These different heroes are all useful against opposing enemy types, as well as environmental puzzles. The combat is visceral and fun. The mixture of magic, light, and heavy attacks is strategic, and the aiming mechanic is the best I've seen on mobile. Spending time in this world is like spending time in your favorite console quality RPG. I got lost in the exploration, I became infatuated with the combat, and I strive to complete every side quest. I just couldn't put the game down. When Tiny Wife yelled at me for sitting in bed with a bright screen at 1 AM while she was trying to sleep, I knew I was severely addicted. Leveling is done in two ways. There is adventure leveling, which feeds into exploration, bandit camps, and treasure finding. This leveling system relegates what story quests are unlocked. Then there is the hero leveling, completed by defeating baddies, completing quests, or using leveling tomes. The game is full of content, and at no time did I feel like there wasn't something to accomplish. I can go on and on about every single gameplay mechanic, but the most important aspect you need to know is, this game is the definition of engaging fun factor. You don't have to be a Breath of the Wild fanatic or an RPG mastermind. If you enjoy mobile games that feel as close as possible to console counterparts, then there is no need to look any further. I should probably subvert some expectations. There is no lock-on option. While the combat works as is, a lock-on would be beneficial for some combat scenarios. I should move on to the next fantastical aspect of the game. You guessed it, the amazing anime-inspired graphics. Comparisons to Breath of the Wild are here as well, and that is a fine compliment to Genshin Impact. The cel-shaded art style makes for a wonderful backdrop to this magical world. The character models are pristine, the effects are top-notch, and the environments are ripe with moments of awe. Genshin is packing a punch in the graphics department, and sometimes it's too powerful for its own good. A game of this magnitude is bound to have some graphical oddities. Sometimes shadows flicker, other times there are environmental pop-ins, as well as slow loading textures. I even noticed jaggies on some items. I point this out not to say the graphics are the worst thing than a moldy cup of ramen, but to tell you to not let the oddities distract you from the amazing art style presented. The game could use some optimization, and it's nothing a patch couldn't sort out. Those with low-end devices may need to lower the graphical settings. So far I've compared Genshin to an award-winning console exclusive, and so far it's reached for, and at times touched that bar. But this is a free-to-play game, and it wouldn't be a free-to-play game without monetization. If If you thought it would do something different, you thought wrong. The game uses a system of various resources, weapons, and heroes as its dangling carrot. Purchasing crystals allows players to get wishes to receive items. It may be a super powerful weapon, or a super duper powerful hero. There is also a season pass, because why wouldn't there be? This system is very familiar to those who dabble in mobile gaming. I used one of these wishes and the unlockable hero I received was a nice boost in battles. The idea is that the free player can grind to get powerful, and for the most part that is true. Although with this type of monetization I do worry about the long game. So while the grind may creep in like a perverted character in an episode of Hot D, it seems to be fair for what it offers.
Hatred?
Hatred for
Monetization. Okay, I've spoken enough about the best mobile game of 2020. Oops, belated spoiler alert. Genshin Impact has earned my highest rating, one I've never revealed to you folks, one I made up right now. Genshin Impact is a super-tastic, uber-bastic download it. MiHoYo has crafted a fine-tuned gaming experience. Sure, it took liberties with its inspiration, yet it's the first mobile game to do so, and has done it with flying colors. The combat is fluid, the graphics are glorious, and the story is actually worth not skipping. The game offers large chunks of content, and I'm gobbling it up like a bowl of spicy ramen. Finally, 2020 has blessed us with something special. If you want to witness mobile games elevated to a new standard, and want to explore a world of magical fun, then by all means download Genshin Impact. As always, thanks for watching Tiny Little Games. Please subscribe to support my channel, like for more impressions, and ring that notification bell for video updates. Fun fact, Genshin Impact will stay on my device for the foreseeable future.